Everybody here, appreciate you guys being here. Got back last night pretty late. A lot of coaches, we came in, worked, went to sleep, got up, worked again. So we're getting into the grind now for Buffalo. They play tonight, so we'll probably watch that game on TV like you guys, like everybody else. But do all the work we can up until that point, and be a big tough challenge for us. Sunday night football, our crowd, looking forward to that. So be a big AFC game, and we're going to have to, continue to improve a lot to be ready for that challenge. So, what questions do you have?
John, first, happy birthday for you.
Thank you, James.
With Justin Tucker, he's now missed a field goal in each of the first games, which is not like him. All wide left. What do you make from the misses? And it also, I think the TV showed that you talked to Justin after as soon as the game ended. What was part of that conversation as well?
Yeah, from a conversation standpoint, we've just we're pretty close. We've been together for a long time, and we've had a lot of conversations, and we know each other. So that was just two guys talking about where we're at, and I just love the guy, respect him. He's everything that you want in a player and a friend. So that was really the basis of that. But beyond that, for Justin, it's just a technique issue right now that he's working through. I think he's got a technique thing going on, and he'll work through it. He knows exactly what it is, and just needs to smooth it back out. And I'm very confident that he will.
Coach, what do you see on film as far as the biggest challenge as far as getting outscored in the fourth quarter in the past two games?
Yeah, I mean, the two things go to that. Pass rush and pass coverage tie together. So we're rushing the passer well, but we can be a little more consistent in terms of our rush lanes and some of our games and things like that, and then being on point with that. And then coverage is just getting a little loose in the fourth quarter for whatever reason. So that's something that we just have to just understand. Sometimes a call is going to go against you. It may be right. It may not be right. But you can't let that change the way you play. You still got to play the coverage the way it's played. If it's an inside leverage, you play inside leverage. If it's supposed to be down on a route, you're supposed to be down on a route, get down on it. So don't be playing like not to give up the big play all the time. You just play the defense the way it's been played. And we've got really good players back there, and I'd like to see them play that way from a confidence standpoint, the way they did the rest of the game. We were forcing a lot of tight window throws in the first half. Play the same way in the third quarter, and then play even more that way in the fourth quarter and make them earn it. And I do think sometimes we're just getting a little, maybe it's weighing in our brains a little bit about not letting that happen, and then it happens. So we're capable of it, we just got to get it done.
Coach, were you given the explanation on the away tackle sack?
They said that he lifted him up and dumped him into the ground. That's what they said that they saw.
After reviewing the tape, are there a number of maybe calls that you'll send back into the league and get clarification on? Anything stand out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not allowed to comment on that, but like I always say, the best I can say is the things that we can see are wrong, that we'll coach our guys on. The things that we can say that we can't see that are wrong, we'll ask the league about. And if they confirm that it wasn't a wrong play by the guy, we'll let them know. That's all we can really do. But there are some head scratchers, but there's also some ones that are legit. And when you have the number that we have right now, it's too many. I mean that's just something that's got to get cleaned up. So the ones that maybe shouldn't be called, and we can't do anything about those. But the ones that should be called, we got to clean those up. And that's on us. It's our responsibility to do it. It's hurting us. I mean, it's costing us points in the end. So that's a matter of playing football the right way in all those situations. And I guarantee you, we're going to be on our guys that do it right. They want to do it the right way. It's our responsibility to make sure they do it the right way all the time, as much as possible. And we got to get better at that.
John, did you ever, look like there's a long conversation with Tolbert on the sideline after the legal touching penalty or on the near safety. Did you get an explanation for why that wasn't potential grounding in the end zone?
Yeah, I've never heard of this before, and I don't know if it's something that kind of came up there. If they've seen this before, I'm not sure, but they said that it's not intentional grounding because somebody caught it, even though it's an illegal receiver that caught it, which is a penalty. So basically, they get rewarded for having a penalty there. That's kind of probably not what they want by the rule. So we'll see. Maybe it's a loophole in the rule. I'm not sure. Something they'll probably look at, but But because a receiver caught it, you can't call intentional grounding, even though it's an illegal receiver and there's no eligible receiver in the area, which would constitute grounding. So that's kind of that's what he explained to me.
Going back to Justin Tucker, feels like maybe the first slump of his career. How have you approached coaching him, working with him, and just something that seems foreign for a guy that is the most accurate in NFL history as of now?
Yeah, I mean, Justin knows that we support him. I've tried to make sure he knows that. That's part of it, just relationship-wise. I mean, the talent, the ability, all that stuff is there. That hasn't gone anywhere. We see it all the time. But it's a technique thing. I think we approach it from a technical standpoint. Randy Brown does a great job coaching that part of it. That's Randy's the foremost guy in the business at that. So they work on that every single day. For me, I just try to encourage what I see and understand with the technique as well. But Justin's a pro, and I have great belief that he'll get the job done.
Maybe it's related to what you were saying about the pass coverage earlier, but I think you guys are second in yards given up to tight ends, second in passing yards given up between the hashes. Are you concerned? I mean, especially when you look at the spine of your defense, it has some of your best players. Are you concerned about what's going on in the middle of the field right now?
Absolutely. It's the easiest place to complete passes is the middle of the field. You got to get between the quarterback and the football. And we're not doing a good job of that. So it's got to stop. We've got to put a stop to it.
John, when you got your sort of closer second look at the offensive line, did you come away, I guess what observations did you come away with, and did that sort of redouble your confidence in that group going forward?
Yeah, I think we took a step. We took a step. Offensive line as a team, the good news is we came a long way. And the good news is we have a long way to go. And that's good news because that gives us an opportunity to get a lot better. So I see great upside in our whole team. I also see great upside in our offensive line. But by no means were we perfect anywhere. Especially in the offensive line, they played well. We got a lot of rushing yards, but there's plenty of things to get better at.
John, along those lines, a couple of the guys really made a point to shout out Daniel Faalele.
Yeah.
Some of the scrutiny and questions about coming into a new position for him. In reviewing the tape, what did you like about how he played, and if it was improvement and everything, what do you think made the difference compared to maybe the first couple of weeks?
Well, yeah, he's a young player and he's growing. I think he just had a sense of understanding of what it was going to take. He wasn't playing tentative. Maybe he played a little tentative maybe early on if you want to just dig into psychology, but he played with more aggressiveness. He came off the ball, he moved people, he knocked people off the ball, he got up on linebackers, he cut people off, he knocked down blocks down across, he knocked tackles across the center sometimes, some things that made those runs really go. He was a big part of that, along with the other guys, so that was good. And yet there were other things that he didn't do as well, and he knows that he can keep getting better at. So again, Daniel came a long way in that game. I think he's kind of indicative of that whole statement. And the good news is he's got a long way to go, and he's capable of so much more.
John, you guys have used heavy sets for years, and Patrick Card has been a huge part of that. But this week in particular, is there something with some of those bigger sets that you thought worked well against the Cowboys, and you feel like some of those packages are essential going forward into the coming week?
Yeah, we live in a lot of worlds football-wise with our versatility. I think it's a strength. Sometimes it can be considered not, Some teams come out and they play 11 personnel the whole game and spread you out and don't motion anybody. Sometimes they use motion. Different teams have different approaches. I think one of our approaches is that we have a lot of multiple personnel groups that we use. That's kind of the way we go. So from one game to the next, you'll probably see different emphasis in different places probably. But to be able to run the ball, we call it must run. When you really want to run the ball and do it out of big groups that protect the edges and all that, that's something kind of in our DNA a little bit. Been that way a long time, so we definitely want to live in that world if we can.
On that topic, the tight ends and the versatility they shared as perimeter blockers for you yesterday. Just how important is that, especially as Mark and Isaiah are pass catching guys, to show themselves as blockers? How important is that for the offense? That's
such a great point, Ryan. The perimeter blocking was okay the first 2 weeks. It was outstanding in this game. Those guys, I'm going to tell you what, Mark Andrews might have had 3-4 pancakes. Isaiah Likely he was out there reaching guys. The wide receivers had our best blocking game in a long time. I mean, those guys were blocking. I can think of Nelson Aguilar coming down and getting the free safety, right over the ball one time, which is kind of, you don't see that too often. Zay Likely crack blocking down on defensive end. Those kind of things are really what make, to me, that kind of unselfish play, being willing to, there's one ball carrier and there's 10 blockers, so to speak. I mean, even Lamar's a blocker when he carries out a fake, say, You're all helping the ball carrier one way or another. And our guys are really buying into that, and that's something that we just got to keep building on.
Andrews played many fewer snaps than he would in maybe a typical week. Was that purely a matter of the style that you guys ended up playing?
Yeah, I mean, you had a lot of big groups on there, kind of to your point about the personnel groups and stuff like that. I think guys will play different amounts, different games, with our different guys that we have. I think didn't I bring this up a week or two ago? We'd go one way, and then someone wouldn't play, and then that question would be, why didn't that guy play? I think that's probably going to be something it'd be every week. There'll always be, somebody didn't get the ball thrown to him or didn't get many touches or wasn't on the field as much. It's probably going to be a part of the game plan each week. And a lot of it's how the game goes, too, But Mark did what he was asked to do in the game, and it just turned out that way. It wasn't like he wasn't in the pass routes. He could have been throwing the ball. It just didn't come his way. But the blocks came his way. He was out there blocking those guys, and he did a great job.
John, we noticed that Nate Wiggins got cleared, and then he was essentially starting. He did get hit with a couple penalties, but what did you see from him, and where is he at now?
Yeah, I think Nate competed real hard out there. I think Nate, that was a learning game for Nate probably. He had some really good plays. He knocked that ball out down there going in. That was a massive play for us. So proud of him for that. And then other times I think he learned, NFL football sometimes. I mean, we got one pass interference penalty where he didn't even touch the guy. So, but he got another one where he grabbed the guy, So, you got to learn from that, and he will. Some of the leverages he'll learn from. But Nate's a competitor. He's tough. He wants to be good. Love everything about, who he is and where he's going as a player.
You described the late night session, film, early morning session today. In that context, what have you kind of seen from Zach Orr? Obviously, a real tough job coming in from what the defense was last year in secondary hasn't been what everybody wants.
Mm-hmm.
What are you kind of seeing as he addresses those issues and really kind of scares what he's got to do in the face?
Yeah, and that's the challenge of coaching. You want everything to go great, and we're coaching so many things. The structure of the defense is the same. There's things that have been added, but none of those things are causing any problems. It's just some basic execution, really, in the fourth quarter of games. That's really what the issue has been, and that's got to get cleaned up. And that's guys knowing what to do, and they do, and just doing it. So I think Zach's doing a good job of letting those guys. He's been very clear about what he expects. He's done a great job of making the corrections, drilling the corrections, getting the corrections practiced, and the guys got to go out there and do it, and they will. So nothing ever comes too easy. Sometimes it comes easy in first 3 or 4 games, and it's like, man, this is the best of something that there's ever been, and all of a sudden it's not so good anymore. There's always this kind of process and evolution, and nothing's ever as good, nothing's ever as bad sometimes as it seems. It's that way in football for sure. So when I watch the details of the defense, and we talk through all that stuff, we can see where the issues are, and you just fix them, and steadily you play better. And it's not so much that we're at this level and we're not good, or it's just we got to play more consistently. The way we played in the first half should be the way we play the whole game. I mean, just play that way the whole game. We're capable of doing it, and let's go do it.
John, with Derrick Henry, how impressed were you watching the game back? I mean, it's kind of vintage Derrick, what we saw yesterday in kind of his first breakout game for your team.
Did you see his suit and his hat? Huh? Was that impressive? I was impressed with the suit and the hat, but I was a lot more impressed with the game. As a football coach, man, I'd tell you that was fun. And it's like Derrick said, it's a team effort. Football's a team game. But we gave him some space. Our offensive line, the scheme, I thought the game plan was really good. I thought Lamar created some space for him as well. Like you said, you guys all said, the perimeter blocking, all that stuff created the space that he needed to go be who he is. and he was who he is. He made a couple runs too with vision, where he'd start inside and bounce outside there, or he'd cut back, he saw some things that, that not every back sees all the time. So, and then once he gets that momentum going, man, he's tough. He's different. So, yeah, I was excited about that.
Speaking of Henry, we talked after the game that he challenged the offensive line to, improve and to push them. There was report that he was working out with them, and just what can you say about that kind of leadership and how he approached it that resonates with your team?
Yeah. Well, he's highly respected, and he's a really good person, and he's really supportive of the guys. He's that kind of a guy. So he challenges them in a way, I think, that is, you're capable of so much more. Let's go be that, and then like you said, dig in there and work with them on it. That's, I think, what he talked about, right? So, yeah, I mean, you see it. He's down there in pre-practice. You guys saw him last week before practice, working with the guys in the pass protection stuff out there before when the special teams are going. So that's genuine leadership.
Coach, with Lamar, his time to throw has kind of significantly decreased over the past 3 weeks, almost half a second less from week 1.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Lamar's time to throw has dropped significantly.
You mean getting the ball out quicker now?
Yeah. Is that kind of something that's part of the game plan, especially going up against a guy like Micah Parsons?
Yeah, I mean, I think on-time rhythm passing is important. That's something that we want to be able to be good at, because it takes pressure off of the protection, it takes pressure off the routes, it takes pressure off Lamar. That should be a big part of what we do. I mean, even like the boot early to Charlie, that's a play-action pass and misdirection pass, what we call a movement pass, but it balls out pretty quick there, right? So those kind of things, the more we can do those things, keep the defense, hit them quick, keep them moving, get them going one way, throw it the other way, or Lamar makes a read and brings it back over here with a quick throw. Those are yards, execution yards that really take a lot of pressure off the rest of the format.
Along those lines, you talked about Lamar's play faking earlier, and his ball handling yesterday looked exceptional. At times on TV, you couldn't even tell who had the ball. How important is that now, taking the offense to another level, and how impressed were you when you watched it yesterday?
Yeah, I was impressed. I was looking the wrong way a couple times. That's what you want. I said, tell Lamar, if you fool me, man, you're definitely fooling the defense. But that's been a big part of our offense for quite a few years now, right? And I think the fact that we've been able to maintain that through this transition, style-wise a little bit, has been really important, because it's just one of the things that makes Lamar unique. He's got amazing ability, with his hands, and to do that, some of that stuff that he does just so naturally is pretty rare. So you got to take advantage of it. I mean, you got to use that. If someone has a gift like that, you have to use it. And I think seeing it pay off, it's something the defenses. I hear every week about who's playing Lamar at quarterback and how they're working out stuff. That's kind of what they're talking about. That has to be respected. They have to spend time on that.
Hey, Coach, I know you said every game is a must-win situation, but just based on NFL history, did 0-3 seem like almost a death sentence if you got there?
Well, no one wanted that. That's not something that we wanted. So, that's what made the fourth quarter so interesting. I mean, it was tough. It was challenging fourth quarter. I was proud of the guys in the sense that they finished. Would have liked to have seen the job done a little sooner. But we finished. And at the end of the day, you have to find a way to finish and get the job done, and they did. So, with that, we just got to get better. With all the little things that we do, and get stops in the fourth quarter, get first downs in the fourth quarter, put points on the board when we have a chance to do it. All those things the guys know about.
Everyone's talked about what Rashad Bateman is capable of when he gets opportunities. What are your thoughts on what he was able to contribute yesterday?
Yeah, I was really happy, for Rashad. I just feel like he's open a lot, because he runs such good routes, and Lamar finds him, and it's starting to just really grow. So, we've got the 2 young wide receivers out there, and I talk to those guys all the time about they're the future and the present, And we've got the tight ends, and we got the veteran Nelly, doing his thing in there. And you see Tylen will go out there, and he makes his plays, and sometimes he does the dirty work, and he does it so well. Justice Hill, you know, I mean, all these guys are just critical elements of what we're trying to do. But Bates' upside is phenomenal.
On the onside kick that they recovered, is there any detail to coach beyond just pick the ball up? I mean, or like what? You know, what do you take from?
Well, yeah, there's kind of a technique to that, and I think sometimes you get a little over anxious, sometimes maybe, but you know, that kick is not a new kick. It's been around for about 4 years. That little slide roller that bows back. It's on turf. You know, we don't play on turf a lot, so maybe that was a little bit different for us. But I think it's something that we just have to. It's like everything else. You got to chase every detail, and you try to be in front of everything as much as you can. But I promise you that we're going to spend some time this week for all those guys picking up all those kicks on turf and on grass. You know, we'll do that. You know, and then sometimes you just got to go, oh, okay, boy, it's got to get your attention, and you can't overlook something like that when it comes up, because that would have sealed the game. Game was over. I was happy when they went onside kick. I was happy. I was like, all right, we'll get this onside kick. We'll go down there. We'll get points. More time will be off the clock. The game's going to be ours, you know. And we cracked the door open. We opened the door a little bit there, and that's where you got to learn as a team. And our guys know that. And you just got to go do it. And once you start doing that, and you start closing the door on people, you start kind of choking the life out of the game a little bit. That's when you become a really good closing football team, and we're going to get there.
All right, John, about the NFL kicking, I believe the Cowboys were able to kick a third onside kick because of the new kickoff rules. Is that something that felt strange to you?
What is that?
So the Cowboys could not kick a third onside kick, as the new kickoff rules dictate you are only allowed to do 2 onside kicks in the fourth quarter.
I'm going to have to claim ignorance on that one. I got to be honest with you. I mean, I'm just being honest here. I didn't know that rule. So, yeah. Is that right? Okay.
What's your opinion on that?
I don't know why that. I wouldn't know why they have that rule, to be honest with you. So I don't have an opinion on it. Just, I guess I'm grateful for it. I don't know. Should I be? I mean, I'd rather have that not come up again, if that's okay.
You also can't throw to first base.
All right, thanks, everybody.